It's Tuesday, April the 8th, 2025. It's still kind of a cool day out. It's been cool to cold for the last 3 days or so. I haven't been back to the bees since I fed them. Um, I'm kind of worried about the ones that I put those hive top feeders on because it's too cold for them to get up in there. Today's going to be warmer, but tomorrow on we're going to get into double digits Celsius. So that'll be good. And I'm hoping on Wednesday and or Thursday, Friday, I can get out there and do some assessments and see who's who and who looks like what. And I'll mark some assessments on the covers. And that allows me then to go in again in a 3 weeks or a month, and I'll assess that again. And then I can see if that colony has moved forward or not, or even backward. I think if any move backward at this point, they're going to die because they're not very big. So that's what I'm concerned with. I also need to get my electric fence all hooked up again. I don't want the bears to come out of their winter slumber and start thinking they should start snacking on my bees. But that's yet to be done. So warm weather we need for that. Right now I'm working in the shop, and I'll show you what I've been doing. You can see that I have 5 of my Honey Super pallets complete. They need to be dipped, and then the hive clips need to be put in these little indentations that I've made, and that's what I'm doing right now. I actually sanded the tops. This is that kind of less than nice plywood. So I sanded the tops for my convenience and the guy who's dipping them, just so he doesn't get too many slivers. And I'll show you how I'm routing those indentations for the clips. I found my jig I was using last year, and it's a little clunky, but all I did was take scraps from cutting up the plywood and screw this together. It's not cut to any particular dimensions. It's a bit chunky. I could cut it down and make it a little bit lighter and smaller. The only real important dimension is where it registers on the pallet, and then the square where the router runs in the middle. And because I didn't cut it to any particular dimension, sizing it or setting it on the pallet is a little weird, because I measured 7 inches and 3/16 and put a mark there and a mark there, which is where it sits. And I've realized that it doesn't seem like it's exactly square. So that's why I measure in 2 places and get that nicely set right there. And then I'll just run a clamp on it to pull it out over the bench. Bench, it's a table saw, it's not a bench. The next part is a little wild. I need to run my little router in here. Now what I've been doing is, once I get the jig on here, I can see where I'll cut. If there's a screw, take that screw out. Screws and router bits don't make good bedfellows. There's a screw here, but I know that's close enough to the edge. I'm not going to hit that one. So I use a combination of my router and my air gun to keep the sawdust out, because the router needs to run along the sides. The router is not even symmetrical on all sides. It's not even symmetrical from here to the bit and here to the bit, but it's way off on this side, so I don't come there. I'll come to about there, and then I turn it around and do it that way. So it's a little goofy, but here we go. Okay, well, that's it. That's what it takes. So you ask, well, how deep am I working with? I go 3/16. That gives me room to take account for the thickness of the clip, but more than that. So it takes care of the amount that the screw head. I put a pan head screw in there. I find that works better than a flathead screw, and so that takes care of the head of the screw as well. But that's all I do to these. I'll run over it with just a 60 grit sandpaper. I kind of round the edges a bit, and that just makes it, a little bit nicer. So that's all that's going on right now, and I have a couple more hours I can work, and so I will get this done. I've got just this one and two more to be routed and sanded. I'm actually trimming off the glue squeeze out as well. That takes it's just a second. And then these will be done, ready for the dipper. And I think that's it. I think that's all I need to do for the dipper. That's what's going on today. Hopefully I'll be able to show you some of my assessments, and I'll be putting some pollen patties on, I don't know, it might be Wednesday or Thursday. So hopefully I can show you some of that. And otherwise, there's not much going on this week. So regardless, thanks for watching. It's Thursday, April 10, 2025. It's a beautiful morning. I'm standing here watching two big Sandhill cranes in the hayfield. And they were making an awful lot of noise here a minute ago. The things stand about this high. That's at least 4 feet. They are an incredible bird. You should look up a Wikipedia article on Sandhill cranes. There's some statistics about those birds that are just unbelievable. How far they can migrate, how far they can fly, how high they can fly. It's just really quite amazing. I'm blessed to have such beautiful wildlife here in my yard. And I can hear some more over there. They're probably calling to each other. Stay away, because they're in pairs. So one is feeding, mama's feeding, and papa's watching for danger. So, as I say, it's a beautiful day. And I'm trying to fix this truck again. I have a pretty good chance of success today, but there's a story. Okay, so I want to show you and tell you the story behind this clamp. This is actually an authentic Cummins part. It's a Cummins engine in the truck. And the place I could find online, I called Cummins in Winnipeg, and they were useless. Yeah, I could go on and on, but they were useless. So I looked online and tried to find what I needed, and I had to buy, I bought it from a place. It's called BC Diesel out of British Columbia. So I bought it from there, and they shipped it out. Now, it's a pretty substantial clamp. Like the exhaust system on this truck is big. I think it's 4 inches. And that's $100 for that. And I can kind of see it's a stainless steel product. The bolt is steel. And, put it in there. But I got looking at this in the packaging. And I was looking at that thinking, how am I going to grab that to tighten it up? Well, I'm not. They didn't put a nut on it. It's $100, and they didn't put a nut on it. And it was in the sealed Cummins packaging, so that's the correct, it's not that somebody took the nut. It doesn't come with a nut. And it's a metric nut. I thought it was stainless steel, but it's not. So I went to my Prairie Bearing and Bolt in town. Guy fixed me up, no problem. He gave me 2 grade 8 nuts to, jam nut thing together, and metric. He told me just put them in my pocket, but I bought a little something from him, gave him a tip, told him to put it in the coffee fund, because it's really nice to have a place like that that's going to take your, because sometimes it's just a matter of a metric nut that's going to cause your whole operation to come to a screeching halt. So this causes me a little bit more of a different situation, because the other, if you remember the other clamp, the wrong clamp, this part was segmented, so I could open it up, put it around the pipe. This one I can't. If I try to open this up, I'll crack it, and there's another $100 and a bunch of time down the tubes. So I need to get the pipes far enough apart that I can slide this between the turbo and the downpipe. I think I can do that. They're not really that hard to move. And what I did was I just cut up a couple of wedges on my table saw so that I can just use those to push between the pipes. I didn't want to use something steel or metal to put in there to mess up the mating surfaces, because there's no gasket or anything in there, so it has to fit just right. All right, so that's my challenge for right now. I want to make sure I put this in the right way so that I can get it tightened up. I don't know that you can even see down in that black hole. The strap is loose. Let's see if I can get a wedge in here. Yeah, I think that's going to work quite nicely. The challenge is to get the wedge in without interfering getting the clamp in. Okay. Boy, you think you spread it a long way out, and then you realize it's really not. Okay. See, that's the trick. I have to get the clamp and the wedge in there. Get the other wedge out. Oh yeah, that's working. Mostly. Okay, the wedges are out. All right. The clamp is on the turbo side, which is fine. And now I need to pull the downpipe up. Okay, it's snug against the turbo, and it's pretty good. It's misaligned a little bit. I can get the clamp around both sides, which I think I just did. But George, I think maybe it's in there. Is it gonna come off? Oh, it's on there. Okay, I think we have success. I think I'll leave that strap on there since that was the hardest part. I'm going to start it up just to see if there's any exhaust leak out of there. It's all good, no exhaust leaks. Well, I sure feel good that my truck is drivable again. It was drivable before, but it was a little noisy. You know, if you don't ever do anything like that for yourself, you may not get how it feels. I feel like $1,000,000, right? And even though I may have saved myself a couple hundred at a mechanic, it just really gives you a great sense of satisfaction to do stuff like that. Now, I'd encourage you, though, don't mess with things that you're not familiar with. You can mess up your vehicle pretty fast if you start tearing into things that you're not aware of, how to do. I've been kind of doing this kind of thing since I was a little kid. And even though I'm no master mechanic, and I use my mechanic a lot, and I'm getting pretty old to crawl around under my vehicle. There they go, taking flight. I don't think you saw that behind the truck there, but they're an immense bird. I don't know if they must have a 8-foot wingspan or more. They're just huge. I did, I mentioned the Wikipedia article on the Sandhill, but the article, in my opinion, understates the size of the Sandhill because I see them here. They're absolutely huge. It's I don't know what height it quotes for a typical Sandhill, but the ones I have here are way bigger than that. It's that clean living, I guess. Anyway, so now I get to do other stuff. I'm going to go put some dry pollen supplement out for the bees and see how they enjoy that. Today is a pretty warm day. It's fairly sunny. Tomorrow and next day are going to be really nice. So I'll be doing assessments tomorrow and next day and see where I'm at for the season. Thanks for watching. It's a beautiful day in the apiary. The place is abuzz, literally. There's quite a few colonies I can see with, a good amount of activity at the entrance. Some with no activity. What are you gonna do? There's a couple here that look like they're gonna fall over. They're not gonna fall over. When I set the bees down, there was a big layer of ice right there. So it does melt unevenly, of course, because the sun doesn't hit it where the boxes are. So it's going to melt. It'll melt today and tomorrow and next day. It's a nice day today, and they say it'll be nicer for the next 2 days. Very nice. So I'm banking on that because I'm not going to go in the bees today. I'm going to leave them alone. Let them get out, take a poop, go for a stroll, stretch their wings. And tomorrow I'll come out and do my assessments, get my pollen patties on. And I think once the pollen patties are on, I'm going to hit them with the oxalic acid vapor just to give them one good knockdown before they start to get much of a brood nest going. What I am going to do here today is I've got a bag of UltraBee that I had from, I don't know when I bought it, but it was quite a while ago. I don't remember when I bought it. So it's brand new, unopened. So I'm going to get into that. I bought myself a really nice feeder a few years ago. This cost me quite a bit of money. It was like $80 or something, but boy, do I love that feeder. That just works so perfectly for feeding the dry pollen. And so I'm just going to go and pour some of that in the top and put the lid on, and then the bees should find it. Well, you missed the filling of it and spilling of the pollen supplement because I didn't press record. But I got the supplement in here. And if you're interested in one of these, I just bought this at my local bee supply, and I think they're still available. It's called Alcon, A-L-C-O-N. So I don't know if that's the company that sells them, just the company that molded the thing. I don't know. I think I paid about $80 for the thing, but it's very robust, and it keeps that supplement out of the rain, so it saves you money over time. And it actually sits outside, so it's quite UV stable. This lid is counterclockwise to tighten and clockwise to remove. So, but it says that right here. So, okay, I'm gonna do some cleanup in the apiary. I'll leave you here watching this, see if the bees find it. It's Friday, April 11th, 2025. The apiary is abuzz again today. I think it's only maybe about 10°C, maybe a little warmer, but daytime high they say today is maybe 16 degrees, 15, 16 degrees. It's mostly sunny, which helps the bees out an awful lot. Now, tomorrow is a little breezy, but tomorrow is going to be breezy too. Today is a south breeze, which typically is a warmer breeze. Then tomorrow is a northwest breeze, which probably won't be as warm a breeze, but it's still going to be every bit as warm or even warmer. My apiary is sheltered to the northwest, the best of any direction. So I plan to be out here today and tomorrow. Today I won't get that much done because I have to do an errand later on. I have to do delivery and pick up some things and whatnot, so today is going to get cut short. But what I want to do is start doing assessments and adding patties here. I've got my big Beewares smoker tuned up, I think. Maybe. There we go. Get some smoke out of it. This is a big smoker, man. It holds a lot of fuel. It's got the nice spark arrestor here too, so the fuel doesn't go down the outlet when you tip it. It's hard to get used to. It has a much softer spring in the bellows than the Dayton smokers have. Still think the Dayton smokers are the highest quality smokers you can get, but this one's bigger, so I just rotate, I try it out. Now I noticed something here behind the camera that I want to show you, because it's an indication of the work that I did yesterday is actually paying off. I did put up my pollen feeder, but I also put out a couple of pails of some, I think it's Bee Pro or something that I got from a beekeeper. Thought I'd use it up, but also the bees have found the blue feeder here. I'm not sure what just happened. There were way more bees here a few minutes ago, but they're in it. They're in it. They're taking advantage. They get covered in it. Take some of that back to the hive. Also, I have sitting here, these are the little feeders that I had on one of the colonies, the 6-framer, and they sat there the entire time and the bees did not get up into them. So I think that's indicative of just that they don't work very well in the cool weather. I'll give them another shot, but I'm not really convinced that that's the way to go. Speaking about Cercel feeders, here's the other one. And 0 bees. I can see I can see some bee poop in here, so they've tried, but I don't know, they're not taking this syrup. This colony I don't think is really big. This colony is very tiny, so I'm not surprised. Okay, I may take that off of there and add a jar. But at this point, I need to get working on these assessments. Okay. Now, I don't see a lot of activity. And there might be a good reason for that. It takes me a while to get my management mojo on here. So this looks pretty bad. Very poopy. I'll give them a 1. My assessment scale isn't relative to number of frames, anything like that. It's simply a grade. 1 is they might not survive. Put it there. I don't want to put it under where the feed plug is. And 2 is they're probably going to survive, but they're small. 3 is they're good. It's a nice colony. 4 is they're extra special. I might want to graft from them. So this is going to get a 1. Just a straight line. And you may think I'm over evaluating these, and maybe I am, but it's early. It's very early. This is, kind of as small as they're going to get, and they could get a little smaller before they get bigger. Roanoke to the rescue to catch this wax. This will go right in my solar wax. Well, I got a bee in my bonnet. Goodness. How did that happen? Okay. Yeah, I put that in my solar wax melter and it'll just turn into a nice wax brick for me. I can use for waxing frames. I'll give that one a 2. They'll probably survive, but they're not the greatest. These pails are just leaking like crazy. I'm gonna give this one a 3. It's not huge, but I think it's robust enough to fetch a little higher grade than the others. It's hard to scrape with my left hand, but I wanted to go that direction. Okay. I'll be generous and give this one a 3. That's not great, but in 3 weeks, that 3 better look a whole lot better than that. If it doesn't, we have a problem. We're going to have a talk. Oh boy. Leaky pail and dead bees everywhere under there. That sucks. Damn leaky pail. Well, this one's going to be a 0, I think. I'm not going to waste a pollen patty on that. That's nice. That's nice. That's a solid 3. That could even be a 4, but we'll call it a 3. Okay, that looks good. Yeah, now you're talking. That is reasonable. This has still got a queen cage in it. That's no problem. Take that cage out if I can. Okay, that's going to be a 3. The bar is low this year. Not dead, that's good. Okay, a couple of 10s. These pallets go a little faster. See, that's a good sign. These 2 are among the 50 that were, I'll say, loners from last year. I have to take them back. I have to replace them at some point. He's being very gracious on the timing. I don't know that that'll be this year. Okay, I don't know, 3 or 2. They're not really very big, but they look healthy. People ask about the, I don't know, it's wax paper or parchment or something. You just leave that in there, and the bees will chew right through that. So what do you think? Is that a 3 or a 2? I'm going to give it a 2. Pails are mostly empty. I think those are defensive bees. I'm not in short pants, but I'm in a t-shirt. I like bees that are easy to work. That's why I like working nukes so much, you know, they're so gentle. Well, I'm going to put the camera away and continue on here. You can see there's a mixed bag. I haven't seen anything fantastic yet, but I've seen stuff that I'm optimistic about. And there's been a couple here, of course, you know, a couple of 0s, but most of them are 2s and 3s. I'm happy with that. Considering what happened last year, I'm very happy with that. So I'll leave you with that for this week, and I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Thank you very much for watching the video, and take care. Have fun with your bees.